Hello, welcome with me in my bed. I've, you know, got real with myself that the best work that I have, the best transmission, the closest I am to God is in my room, where it is my energy. Um, it's where I feel most aligned. So you're getting these activations from here on out in my bed until I find another place that is where I channel the divine. So let's hop into it. Um, the thing that I want to talk about is your desires. There's often something about like the biggest pain point in your life currently, or your biggest need, your biggest like want, and like if that thing just fell into place, there would just be a domino of effects of like momentum and power and all of the things, right? um that pain point, that thing that's just it's there for a reason. It's there for a reason. Nothing happens by happenstance. And the things that are causing you the most tension is because they are trying to get your fucking attention. Hear that again. The things that are causing you the most tension are trying to get your fucking attention. It's trying to show you an underlying desire. Maybe it's reclaiming your power. Maybe it's reclaiming your voice. Maybe it's simply asking for what you fucking want. Having a conversation, sharing yourself in a different way. But I guarantee you, everything that is causing you havoc in your life is just trying to get your attention to a deeper fucking desire that will light your soul on fire. And often we protect ourselves from that because of the feeling of vulnerability. Go ahead, just feel into that word. Feel what that does to your system. Maybe you can picture yourself, quote unquote, being vulnerable in whatever the situation is. And likely, stories start to pop up in your mind. Feelings in your stomach, in your gut. And I want to talk about vulnerability and the programming and the stories of the subconscious mind. What does the subconscious mind think about this action? What does subconscious mind read when it even thinks about being vulnerable? What does it think about the word? What meaning is it giving it? Because this is where the fucking power is. This is where the power is. Because what your mind perceives vulnerability to be is determines exactly how you proceed. Let me talk to that again. What your subconscious mind reads about the emotions and about the word and about the actions of vulnerability determines everything. So I want to unravel what is going on, because there's likely been a conflict of something that you've wanted to do, wanted to say, wanted to approach. And there's probably been a gap between wanting it and doing it. And It's because of the meaning subconscious has tied around it. Because subconscious is your fucking bodyguard. It pulls out all of the stops to protect you. It's got all the strategies, all the defense mechanisms, all that shit. And so if it's reading things in certain ways, it will create strategies and systems and feelings and negotiations all within yourself to protect yourself from breaking through to that vulnerable side of you. And that's what we're going to clear up today. So let's get into it. Subconscious mind may believe that vulnerability means weakness. That vulnerability means weakness. It may associate the word, the feeling, the action that's associated with this word vulnerable. It probably more than likely has associated it to being open to attack, being hurt. And it might believe that like showing up as your true self or asking for help or saying what it is you feel, what it is you need will leave you exposed, like cut wide open, completely exposed to possibly betrayal, rejection, or disappointment. All things that subconscious mind wants to protect you from. It may also think that vulnerability means you've lost control. That vulnerability means you've lost control. That if you let your guard down, it means you've lost control, you've lost yourself, you've lost yourself over your life, you've fallen into like this swoon of emotions, and you've just lost all of your power, you've lost all of your control. And it could be tied to childhood. That's where the subconscious mind gets all of its training done. It's where it's been built. Your subconscious mind is your 7-year-old self. So vulnerability was wired a certain way by the time you were 7. And that's the pattern that keeps at play. So if your emotional needs weren't met, or if they were diminished, or vulnerability led to this disappointment, this hurt, this feeling of being a burden, your subconscious mind developed defense mechanisms to protect you. Because as a kid, you didn't want to feel that way. You wanted love, you wanted belonging, you wanted all of those things. So subconscious mind did what subconscious mind does, and read that as dangerous and started to create protective mechanisms of holding in your vulnerability, holding in your emotions, holding in your needs so you didn't get disappointed. But you also didn't get your desires met. Then vulnerability makes you unworthy. Maybe that's something that subconscious mind is reading about vulnerability, is that there's this belief that if you are vulnerable, people will see through you. They'll see your greatest weaknesses. They'll see your flaws. They'll see your imperfections. They'll see your failures. Because if you weren't failing, if you were perfect, if you had no flaws and no weaknesses, you wouldn't need help. So your body tenses up. Because who wants to expose themselves to their weaknesses, to their imperfections? And maybe vulnerability has led to this belief that you're unprotected. And again, this kind of goes into the one we just talked about, but you've opened up, you felt exposed, you felt hurt, you opened up, and it was completely not perceived in the way that you expected. And so your nervous system associated that with danger. So those are really, I feel, the most fundamental beliefs that subconscious mind can hold around vulnerability. And so I want to dive into these a little bit further and play around with them and unravel them and show subconscious mind that maybe that was beneficial then, but it no longer is the truth now. And so I'm going to share ways of thinking with you. And the intent is to melt away the pressure of vulnerability and to embrace your power, to embrace transparency. So I often go into the energetics of things because everything is energy. And when we step away from man-made meanings and definitions and emotions, we can get to a deeper clarity around what's really at play and release some constriction in your body and allow that energy to move more freely. So that's the intent here. Because when subconscious mind unravels these things about vulnerability, it starts to get the hint. And it shuts off defense mechanisms, leading you to feelings, leading you to actions that will lead you exactly where you want to go. So we talked about vulnerability, and there's this belief that being vulnerable is a sign of weakness. But what if that's not true? What if that's not true at all? What if vulnerability actually is one of the most powerful strengths you can embody? To be open, to be clear, to be real. Because when we start to see being clear, being truthful, being open, and being real, those aren't qualities of a weakness. It actually shows your fucking strength. it actually shows your strength. And then right now, the mind's probably processing it, but it's really starting to unravel that just doesn't even fucking make sense. That vulnerability is a weakness. Nah. What if it's the most powerful thing you can do? Is to show the real you. And let's dive into it a little bit more. Because vulnerability, we often think, can push people away. But it really isn't about us thinking it's going to push people away. I think the real fear is that people actually meet us with love, with intimacy, with connection. I don't think that we are, oh, why am I getting emotional? I don't think that we fear vulnerability will push people away. I think we fear the intimacy and the connection that they will meet us fully in the moment. Bringing us closer to our desires. Because when you're open and when you share, you allow them to do one of two things: walk away and say no, and then you know. And it gives you an opportunity to find someone more aligned with where it is you want to go. But I think that what we're really fearful of is that they will meet us. And then it's this worthiness to receive it. Because who are you? If those needs get met, it could contradict everything you learned growing up. That asking for what you want means you're bad. And it's that contradiction. It's that conflict that could be the biggest fight. Because for many of you, you're wired to believe that vulnerability pushes away getting what you want. Vulnerability pushes away love and connection, support, money. Because when you asked for those things growing up and you were vulnerable about your needs, you were told they were wrong. So I don't think that the fear is that it will push people away, but that they'll actually meet us halfway. They'll actually meet us all the way, and they will meet our needs. And then all of this identity that we've created just comes crashing down and crumbling. Because the truth is, vulnerability can open up doors for the universe to bring you what you need. And it allows others to see you for who you truly are, aligning you with opportunities. So feel for this. What would it feel like for you to share your needs, for you to share what's on your heart, and they meet you all of the way? And they see you fully. Because you may have never really experienced that. And that's what the nervous system isn't accustomed to. The nervous system doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what's familiar. And what's familiar is what you learned growing up from the age of 0 to 7. um, yeah. But what if we could drop vulnerability altogether? It is tied to all of this meaning, right? And we're unraveling the meaning that we've made it. But what if we don't have to be vulnerable at all? How freeing, how fucking freeing does that feel? So we've unraveled it, but can we clear it? Can we completely disregard it? So let's dive in and see how deep we can go. Because maybe words are just man-made. It is something we made up. When this happens and this happens and these feelings happen, it's this word. And there's a lot of emotional trigger to that word. It's a label we've created. And you can start to just laugh at this shit. So let's get into it. What if you aren't being vulnerable with people? Let's look at it past the man-made terms, past all of this physical world, and let's look at it from an energetic perspective. Everybody is energy. Everybody is attraction. Nothing is just happening by happenstance. It's all the creator arranging people, places, and things to bring you closer to the most alive version of you. So what if you aren't being vulnerable with people, but you're being transparent with source? You're playing the game with source. Source is bringing you the next thing. And it's just a conversation with source energy. Because everything is just a reflection of what's inside. And this person, this place, this situation is being brought to you because of that desire. It's source communicating with you. So whether it's a feeling, a desire, an emotion, it's an offering to the universe. It's source coming to you from a person saying, ask me. I'm here. I'm here to provide for you. I'm here to provide for you. Ask me. Source isn't mom and dad telling you you're bad. Source wants to give it all to you on a silver platter. Source wants to give you more than you could imagine. But asking has been programmed to believe that that's wrong. But you're not 7 anymore. You're having a conversation with straight up fucking source. Source revealing itself in another human. To bring this conversation together, to move forward, to bring that desire closer to you. It's an opportunity from source. It's an opportunity to show up. It's an opportunity to be fully authentic. And what you're showing source is, yes, this is what I'm claiming. Yes, this is what I'm claiming. I'm claiming this love. I'm claiming this abundance. I'm claiming this support. And I'm claiming this freedom. This is me. This is who I am. It's alignment. It's not vulnerability. It's you claiming the fuck out of your desires and showing source. Yeah, it's time. This is what I want. This is what I'll have. Transparency is clarity. When you're transparent, you're simply expressing your inner world. Whether it's through words, whether it's through actions, or it's just your energy. You're simply allowing the world to see what's inside. And you're trusting that everything will align. It has to. But it starts with you emitting that energy, emitting those thoughts, those beliefs, those actions, that energy. And knowing that everything is energy. And it will align exactly how you emit that frequency. Transparency is clarity. Transparency is emitting a specific frequency out so that that frequency can be met back with you. It's empowerment. That's the most control you can have. Subconscious up until this point has read vulnerability to be out of control, but transparency is in full control. When you decide to show up with no mask, no facade, and clear as fuck on what you need, you are revealing yourself. You are offering pure energy out into the world. And that's full control, because that's all that matters, is emitting that frequency of your desires. And it's the safest fucking thing you can do. It's the safest fucking thing you can do. Up until now, the nervous system has read vulnerability to be unsafe, and it's the complete opposite. Transparency is safety. It is the safest thing you can do. It's the surefire way of having your needs met, is exuding the truth. It's all that matters. Source doesn't judge your desires. Source doesn't judge your needs. Source doesn't fucking care. Quite frankly, Source doesn't care what you need. Source doesn't care that you want to have this conversation. Source responds to your energy. In being transparent, Being clear is the safest fucking thing you can do, because when you're doing that, source has to meet you, period. Source has to reflect back to you. Vulnerability doesn't fucking exist. It's transparency. I am transparent with my frequency. I am transparent with source. Every person, every opportunity, every situation is source in me. Nobody else is part of it. It's source. You're showing source what you want. And when I am transparent, I am showing source. Yes, this. You're not opening yourself up to harm. You are opening yourself up to abundance and love and freedom, whatever the fuck it is. And it doesn't invite judgment, it invites intimacy, it invites reflection. You are taking your energy. And when you are centered in what it is you want with crystal clarity, it invites someone to meet you at that energy. So I want you to just sit here. Just sit here for a moment and allow the processing to take place. And see a situation from this new lens, from this new way of thinking, this new way of being, and feel the difference. It's unraveling more and more as the day goes on. And there's an intention that we set together that it continues to unravel. And the system continues to relax. And it continues to melt away. Vulnerability is out. Transparency is here to stay. Yeah. I hope this landed for you. Sending you so much love.